All right, I'm so excited to be with you today, and I'd like to just say thank you, thank you, thank you for taking time out of your busy days and schedules and just making it to the live Zoom today. And I feel like I've kind of been in hiding a little bit here and there, pop out a little bit, but I have been in the oven, so to speak, baking let's see, before that I was in the mix master, and then I was in the batter, and then I was marinating. I don't know, you can plug it on. I must be hungry. I'm applying all these cooking terms, but so much has been going on, not only in the world. I know each of you probably has your own version of this, but I've definitely been in the shift and changing since maybe like Stephen and I were just reconnecting from many, many moons ago. And we might have met a long time ago, or maybe we've touched base here and there, but I've been actually soul searching for a way to bridge together my new thing, and I'll share about that in a second, with my old thing. That's kind of like in layman's terms, what's happening, is how do you bridge, where you've been and who you've been with who you want to be seen as now. And that's really the bottom line. And so one day, I mean, I have asked people, I've talked to people, I've been coached about it. I've been in a heart seat at Mark's beautiful MetaMind mastermind. I've been coached about it, and I still didn't get that little click, where this is it. I don't even remember. One day, I think I was just, getting up early in the morning, or maybe I was in the shower. I don't remember exactly, but it was one of those aha moments where that's it. And it was so simple. And that's what this master class is all about, is that the bridge to everything between who we are and who we've been to who we want to be and be seen as now is in the what makes us tick. And so when I got that, I went, well, if that's happening for me, that's got to be happening for other people. So that's the very thing that got me out of hiding, back on Zoom, reaching out to you guys, and I'm so happy you're here. And there's several things I'll share about. First of all, I do want to get a few of you to say what brought you here, maybe what prompted you, what nudged you forward, what cleared your calendar until 8 p.m. tonight so that you could be here. So I want to hear from you because I love that. And then we'll kind of get into more of how I see this, what makes me tick now is going to unfold. So I'll be sharing about that in our masterclass. And my goal for today, my intention out of being here, is that you walk away in the next hour with something that really makes a difference for you. So, my goal would be that you get what makes you tick, but it's not necessary that you actually get what makes you tick. What is most important is that you get on the new path and the road to it, because I want to just say I birthed what makes me tick now in 2017, and it's been between then and now that it's taken that length of time to really come full forth. So before I jump into all of that, I would love to hear from a few of you just to say hi and what brought you here. Tell us where you live, what you're doing, but make it a little succinct because we do have a lot to cover today. So who wants to be the brave soul? Wait. I got to introduce Mark before we go further. Mark is my co-partner, my co-creator, and he's been my lighthouse over the last year. Well, actually more than the last year, but early last year and before COVID was announced, I was ready to sell the business. It was my 20-year anniversary. I've been doing this for a while, and I was scanning, who would be the perfect person that I would want to hand my legacy to, and that's Mark. And then fortunately, things turned around a little bit, and I'll tell more of that story in just a second. But Mark, where I had maybe been a lighthouse for you, Mark, I'm just saying, you were originally a client. The tables turn, and you just became such a bright light for me to look ahead and keep going. So why don't you just say hi and tell people a little bit about you, and so they can know you a little bit.
Beautiful. Well, my name is Mark Porteous. I'm in Orlando, Florida. I'm the father of 11-year-old twins. My wife, Renee, will be celebrating our 20th anniversary. We run our business together. It is the Soul Affiliate Alliance. Jan is in our MetaMind with 20 other transformational leaders that are leading their communities to be the change that they want to see in the world. And I love this idea of what is birthing. I'll let you share the ideas, but sacred synchronicity has been something that's been on your lips for years, and watching it emerge has been really, really fun. So when you made this call to what makes you tick now, I was excited not only to be here, but sharing it with other friends who have registered and hopefully will show up. To recognize, and again, I love that you said you don't have to know what it is that makes us tick right now, but to just be in this inquiry together is very fun and juicy for me.
Okay, well, my dog says woof, so it must be true. So
I have muted everyone else, so anybody that does want to speak will have to unmute themselves. I just want to let you know.
All right, so if you would just unmute yourself if you'd like to share, or raise your hand and I'll call on you.
My name is Carol Ann. I'm a visual artist, and I read the book, Attracting Customers, and I've shared it with a couple of friends and recommended the book. And so just looking to learn a bit more and figure out how I can incorporate the principles into my practice.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you very much. And thanks for referring the book to your friends. And I'm glad you're here. And somebody else. Marima, sure.
Mute. Hi, I'm Marima. I am from Spain. I live in the Netherlands. I am a Passion Test certified facilitator and also perfect customers, attracting perfect customers, strategic attraction plan certified facilitator. And I'm also an engineer. So I normally help engineering companies in the area of sustainability, but I end up putting perfect customers. I end up putting Passion Test there. And just yesterday, I have a sacred synchronicity. And when I received this email, I thought, okay, I had to be there. So I want to, understand how to facilitate these sacred synchronicities more often.
Awesome. Well, it really, sacred synchronicity, it's not like, a 1, 2, 3 thing. It's a bit of a mystery tour, but what we're doing today is intended to create more sacred synchronicities. And by that, what I call a sacred synchronicity is something that happens out of the blue when I become more in aligned with what I'm all about. And that's sacred to me. And so this isn't about a religion or teaching some principle from a religious perspective. It's about me and my spiritual divine connection, whatever that is. And when I'm more true to that, these sacred synchronicities start to happen. So that's one of the other parts of today that I will see. I hope to see and hear from you like, oh yeah, this is popping, this is happening. So somebody else, say hello. Beth?
Yeah, my name is Beth Lefevre. I'm from Boca Raton, Florida. I work with Janet Attwood quite closely. I've been a master trainer probably about 14, 15 years, and I got to meet Jan a long time ago, and absolutely have used your work in my life personally. Reunited with my husband, realized I made my list, and then 5 years later realized it was him, and we have been back together ever since. So I always attribute you to that. I got very clear on who my ideal partner was, and realized it was him, and we reunited and have been together now for 10 years. So I'm deeply grateful for this system. What brought me here today was I am actually in the middle of a book called Divine Synchronicity. So that's really cool. All the things that show up that are synchronistic and in perfect order. And what I really love is people always have kind of a hard time with what makes us tick, what makes me tick, when they're combining why they're here and how they're attracted to us. And so it was just perfect. And the timing, my schedule is usually crazy, and it was open, and I was just like, oh my God, I have to be there. So I'm here.
Yay. I'm so honored you're here because we have been on a journey around each other for many years. So I'm just grateful
Yes.
that you're here. So let's see.
Frida had her hand up, and then Gina Marie has her digital hand up.
Okay, Frida and then Gina Marie.
Frida, you're muted. You must be on a cell phone, which is a little harder to unmute.
Frida, can you unmute?
Oh,
Okay,
there you go.
did that do it?
You got it.
Okay. I did not mute myself, so I wasn't sure how to unmute,
I
but now I
apologize.
got it. Okay, so hi, I'm Frida Fox. I live in Houston, Texas, and I've had the pleasure of knowing Jan for quite a long time. We first actually met, I think, through Nia, and then I started doing the perfect customer work, very rudimentary for myself, figuring out what makes me tick. I mean, obviously had been ticking for my whole life, so I had something going, but, using the system. And then I went through what was called the SACAT program, Strategic Attraction Coaching Training. And actually worked a lot with all of this. Then the last few years, I've been in a situation where I've been mostly caregiving for my brother who's had some health issues, and just lots of busy stuff and kind of being there for everyone else. And we started adopting cats, rescuing cats. So the other day, I remember we used to say, in figuring out what makes us tick, we would say, why do I get up in the morning? Well, I get up in the morning to take care of everybody. That's what was coming to me now. So I started thinking, well, what used to make me tick? And actually, Jan, just this morning, I remembered what makes me tick was at that SACAT training. It just kind of came to me. Oh yeah, well, that's still true. I won't say it right this minute. And then just from preparing for this class, I feel like I've been coming back more in touch with my true essence and how my essence actually is manifesting in all this caregiving, and just without me even being noticing it that much. So, I can say more as we go along, but I've already had some great insights and reconnections with myself just from, planning to be here, thinking about being here.
That's great. I love that. Yeah, it does start kind of working its magic before you get here. If nothing else, you start thinking things, and then things start to show up. Next thing you know, that's how sacred synchronicity happens. So Gina Marie, I'd love to hear from you too.
Yes, my name is Gina Maria. I am originally and mostly from Wisconsin, and I just moved to Santa Fe recently. I have zero idea, like no idea on earth, how I found your whatever it was that I clicked on that made me sign up for this. So, I might actually go back and look and see how long I've been on your list or whatever. I am an intuitive. I've studied with Colette Baron Rita was one of her betas. In Oracle School, I've done empowerment coaching with the SWAT Institute in Canada, in Toronto. And so those two things are probably what got me here. And I'm very excited. I live mostly in synchronicity. You know, sometimes when that synchronicity stops, you're like, okay, what's wrong? But something's not going right here. So, and what makes me tick, I think my values. I don't know, that's just what I would say
Okay.
off the top of my head.
Yes,
Thank you.
Mark just posted, you're here because of sacred synchronicity. Sometimes
Right?
that's the only answer for how did I get here? So welcome everybody. Was there anybody else before we move on? It's a very free, relaxed call. So feel free to raise your hand and if you have something you want to add.
I see Carrie unmuted. Carrie, did you want to share?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So a couple of things that brought me here. One is that I like being part of Jan's group. I've been involved with this and the passion test for a long time. Another reason is that I have a guest with me sitting in the corner who just went through step 2 last week. And so the timing of having her hear Jan go through what makes me tick will be great. I don't know if she wants to stick her head in the window to see. You got to keep coming. There you go. This is Donna. It's just always great to have the connection and be in touch.
Awesome. Nice waterfall. Liking
Not
that.
mine.
Okay. So here's what has been bubbling up for me around this topic. And as I mentioned, that sacred synchronicity was actually something that was created or born or birthed, however you want to say that, in a session that I had with Alan Davidson. Some of you know him or have heard of him perhaps, but he and I did a special session in May of 2017 and super excited at the end of it that something called sacred synchronicity had been created. Didn't know what that was, but I felt sure something would start to evolve. Well, as the world turns, and in May of 2017, right after that, my beloved husband, Alan Hickman, and business partner passed away suddenly. And so my world kind of went topsy-turvy, and I've been in a swirl for a while. And I did my best to keep my toe in the water around perfect customers and all of that. But, you know, truthfully, when the way you've been doing it all along just suddenly goes away, it's hard to say which direction I wanted to go in. So fast forward to 2020, as I mentioned, Mark and I had had a conversation or two about passing the legacy of perfect customers on to him. And then right before things might have gone forward there, pandemic showed up. And it just felt like at that point that it needed to go on the back burner, you know, like all the juice and the energy went out. And I say this because you may have had an experience like that, maybe not exactly like mine, but where you had something that, you know, you've been working, it's going, you know, as it was your life as you knew it, and then change happened. Does anybody relate to that? Something dramatic showed up. Yeah. And so it's like, you know, the decks get shuffled and all of a sudden, you know, what was all working before isn't working anymore. Well, that's really what showed up for me around the last year. And so one of the pieces that I started to help myself to last year during COVID is I started to become a student of other people. So a lot of very gifted people that I'm interested in, I wanted to learn from them. So that was one thing that I took on. And another thing that came along was Mark and his, he was putting together a collaboration book, a compilation book, I think they call it, called Soulful Leadership. And he invited me to contribute a chapter, 700 words. And I went, I think I might be able to write 700 words. Couldn't do a whole book last year, but a chapter, I think I can do that. And so I thought, well, what would I write about? I don't really want to just say the same thing I've been saying. Doesn't feel right. So again, here's another little sign is, how does it feel when something changed and you're trying to make a change? Does it feel right? And these are the things that I was paying attention to. Do I need to learn something new? Do I need to sit and listen from the feet of other masters? Yes, those were two big tips in reprogramming and reigniting what makes me tick. So I did do the compilation book, which allowed me to delve into writing about the sacred synchronicity. Again, these are brand new words for me. I didn't really know. I had all my words from before, but new words were being called forward. So that would be another tip that I would say in getting what makes you tick now is doing something you've never done. You know, I had never written about sacred synchronicity. Before Attracting Perfect Customers, the Power of Strategic Synchronicity, talked about that a lot, but I'd never really taken it to the next level of adding the word sacred and the divine. So I knew something important was starting to bubble up with me. And at the end of, or once the book was out there and completed, there was also a retreat that Mark hosted. I think that was called the Soulful Leadership Retreat. And I was going to be a speaker. You know, I think when did it start, Mark? It was on a Wednesday or a Thursday, I think.
Yeah. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Okay. And then, so I was going to be a speaker on Saturday. Well, on Wednesday, I had no idea what I was going to say. And I was really hoping that Thursday and Friday would help me figure out what I'm going to say. So I'm like really on the edge of my seat through those 2 days, hoping that something would come through. And truthfully, I have no idea what I said, but what I did observe since the theme of the whole retreat was sacred synchronicity, a lot of people started to say, oh, I had a sacred synchronicity. So people started talking about it before I even spoke, before I'd even said anything. People were already experiencing. So that's another part of what makes you tick now, is you start to experience it. And so what is there to do about that? Well, pay attention, sit on the edge of your seat, wake up, be aware, just start to notice. It's not hard, but it does take some bringing yourself forward. So at the end of my talk, I knew that I was going to want to offer people something, but hey, maybe they might like this stuff. And so I offered a couple of classes that people could enroll into. And I gave as a gift a 1-hour session with Jan. So now fast forward, a lot of these appointments started to appear on my calendar. And I went to the very first one, the one-on-one that I offered as a freemium. And she shared about what she wanted to talk about that day, her situation, her issue. And then this really just came through like a light bulb. It wasn't pre-thought that I was aware of. I asked her, would you prefer for me to respond to you as a traditional business coach, or would you like to hear insights from the voice of sacred synchronicity? And I could just feel when I gave the two examples inside of me, you know, when I said the voice of sacred synchronicity, I'm like, you know, like I feel like a little kid. All of a sudden, like I have a new toy. And I looked over at her face through Zoom, of course, and her face lit up. She says, oh, absolutely. The insights from the voice of sacred synchronicity. So something was born in that moment. Now that was a sacred synchronicity just in itself, because it came through. It could only have come through the divine in that moment, because somebody was nudging me to say, go forward, be you. It's okay to be you. Anyway, consequently, I have been working with a lot of people as the voice of sacred synchronicity, doing private one-on-one appointments. And I've learned a lot. I've done, I think I lost count, but at over 30 when I've done these sessions. And I found that, you know, where my joy was is in doing these sessions, but I had to go through my own transformation. And that's where the second part of what makes me tick now comes in. So what makes me tick now is sacred synchronicity. And the second part speaks to the transformation that I had to go through to become in my own body, in my own state of being. I had to go through a transformation that I call divine alchemy. And divine alchemy is where an actual state of being transforms so that something else can be created. Like I couldn't just be Jan as she's been known for 20 years. So I stepped away basically for a while, and I would kind of get out there. Like I said earlier, when I started, I would kind of show my face, then I would go back in, show my face, go back in. So divine alchemy is the second part of what makes you tick now, because once you get what makes you tick and you can put some words with it, like I did with sacred synchronicity, then there's the divine alchemy. You have to become, you have to change your state to allow it to actually be part of the world. So anybody have a question or a comment before I rattle on some more? What are you noticing for yourself just in what you might have heard of me sharing? Jerry?
Yeah, the noticing and your comment about awareness and clarity that you said earlier reminds me of a quote that I use a lot, that I will actually put in the chat for everyone. It says, awareness gives us clarity. Clarity gives us focus. Focus gives us action. Action gives us results. And ultimately that leads to fulfillment and bliss. You cannot be in love, in bliss, be joyful without awareness. It is the fundamental tool. If you have mastered awareness, you have mastered your life. And it's A-N-I-L, Anil Gupta.
Yeah, that, say more about that. What made you pick that?
Well, for me, and this is the key to my using the passion test and the attraction plan, is without the awareness, we're in a rut. That's where the habits are coming from. When we become aware that we have a habit, then that brings the clarity, and with clarity, we can have choice. That's the idea of the focus. And the simple example I have is I did a lot of traveling, and before pay at the pump, whenever I got gas, I would get a chocolate bar and a couple of Coke and a couple of chocolate bars. And this one day I'm leaving town, and about 10 miles south, I realized I don't have enough gas to do the trip I need. And I pulled into a gas station. And as I'm going in to pay, that question came up: do I need a Coke and a chocolate bar? And the answer was no, I'm just starting out. And that's where I realized I'd had a habit, and now I had the choice. So now every time that I would go and get gas, I can ask that question. And there might be times when I'm driving, late at night where I need something to keep me up. And so the choice is yes, I will. Yeah, but that's that relationship of clarity and having choice.
Yeah. Well, I also heard in there taking an action, because I think this topic of what makes us tick now can be something that you just think about for long periods of time. So I think that one of the things that really was instrumental for me was taking baby steps, just writing a chapter in the compilation book, for example. That was a giant step and a baby step at the same time. And, occasionally coming out, I've done one other master class, I believe, this year, and that was in January. So it's not like I popped my head out every 5 minutes like I used to, but I've been finding ways to take actions that felt right to me. So here's one of the things that I wanted to give you kind of some steps to get tapped into what makes you tick now. And so if you remember what you have had in the past, you can go ahead and write that down. And I am, at the end of the class, you're going to get this little 6-page document called What Makes You Tick Now. And one of the things in here, you can work with this on your own later. But one of the things I have on the cover is connect with who you are, the heart of what makes you tick, and enter the vortex where your magical soul desires are created. So what are your magical soul desires is where to start. And usually there's kind of like 4 areas most people, there may be others, but these are 4 that I think are really, that I hear from others. There's your health, there's your money or your wealth, there's love, and spirituality. So what are your soul desires in each of those 4 areas? So, I was always writing, goals and things about my health, and I am very blessed to be old and well, so that's a blessing in my favor. Money has been kind to me, so that's been another blessing, always welcoming more to come in, but not ever living, a poverty life by any means. Love, I wanted to love again after the death of my husband. I learned the ups and downs of online dating, dating through COVID. I mean, I could write a book on that one, but I should just do a class on love in that whole area, because I did learn a lot about love, but mostly about how to love myself first. And then when I love myself, then something, and get in alignment with what makes me tick. Those were the 2 most important things for love to come my way. But one of the things through love that I discovered was that I assumed I was connected to my divine, because that's important to me, right? In every relationship. But what I discovered through love, and a couple of people that I dated turned out to be atheists. And when I ended the second, we didn't date very long, really. The second one, just a couple of months. But at the end of that, I asked myself, gee, Jan, you're kind of like supposed to be a spiritual woman, and you talk about that, but here you are dating atheists. Like, so I'm talking to myself now, right? Like, what's all that about? And so I was just kind of sitting with that. So the cliff notes on that part is that when things aren't coming together the way you want, it's because something you're committed to is not syncing up with who you're committed to being. And so I'm committed to being a spiritual woman, a having a divine connection, but it wasn't sinking in. I was, the universe or spirit, however you want to refer to it, was bringing me people that weren't, just the very opposite. So I had to look at what's going on in here. I wasn't completing inside of here. So in a completely unrelated conversation where I was talking about the wording on my business, what came forward out of the blue as a sacred synchronicity is that when my husband Alan died, I stopped feeling connected to my divine. I felt disconnected. And I went unknowingly, unaware of that fact until I started dating people that were absolutely not interested in that whole thing. And that's what I realized, that when I had that awareness that I felt like my connection to the divine was gone when he died, then an opportunity came up for healing. And so part of my journey of getting what makes me tick now is that divine alchemy, that once I get who I am and who I'm supposed to be, doesn't mean that I'm integrating it yet. Like I haven't lined up with it, because all those things that I want aren't really showing up yet. Some were, or little bits here, but that's where the healing comes in. So there's a healing component to what makes you tick, of having to allow the time and the deep healing work that can only be done by yourself. You really can't go to a doctor for this. You might go to somebody that helps you along the way, but this is something you have to do on your own. You have to do your own deep healing. And so I feel like when deep healing wants to happen, it will happen if I make that myself open to it. So any questions about that before I move on? So what I've now learned since this journey has been unfolding for me, that yes, it's still important what gets me out of bed in the morning. And I think that's a useful exercise, the way that I've always spoken about it. What gets me out of bed in the morning? What am I committed to? But I want to add something on here that I've never really added into this portion, and it's about contribution. That what makes me tick, what I have seen with every person, whether we've discussed it or not, I know it to be true about you and myself, is that we all want to make a contribution. And we want to make a contribution to more people. And so what makes me tick now is a place to explore, who do I want to make a contribution to? What kind of contribution do I want to make? When I'm contributing to others, I'm learning and growing. And this is a growing and learning planet. This is why we're here, is to learn and grow. So it makes sense. And I really didn't get this when I was teaching what makes me tick before, that I used to say, once you get what makes you tick, that's it. This is yours for a lifetime. Famous last words. Whenever you say a definitive statement like that, you know you're going to have to eat them someday. So here I am eating those words, that because I just didn't know that what makes us tick does change. And I think it took a pandemic to rattle me and the world enough to know that we need to change. And so now is our opportunity to really look at contribution. Who do I want to contribute to? Yes, it would be easy for me to slip off on the sideline and shut things down, close my lighthouse up. It would be easy to disappear, but that's not who I am. I'm still here to make a contribution, and thank goodness there's people that come here still and are still listening and wanting to know more. So I know by virtue of just poking my head out for this masterclass that there are still people that want to delve into what makes them tick, for example. And there, how can we all have more sacred synchronicity and divine alchemy? So here's your assignment, if you will, is start to explore and examine who you want to be a contribution to now. Like maybe you've been contributing in a certain place for a while, and now there's an opportunity to do a new tribe, a new group, or expand beyond. And what kind or how can you be a contribution? I never knew I had the kind of gifts, talents, and skills that are coming forward now. Yes, I knew that I was highly intuitive. I always knew that. But what's coming forward because I was willing to be seen as voice of sacred synchronicity? I am remembering gifts that I've had from ancient wisdom, past lives, other information and wisdom that I have maybe been sitting dormant inside of me are ready to come forward, and they are. And it all started with me getting what makes me tick and saying, I'm the voice of sacred synchronicity. And so when I meet with people and when I'm bringing forward my messages, people are getting healing at deep levels. Who knew? This started to happen recently, just a few months ago, actually. I started noticing that when I had my one-on-one sessions with people, that it would go into kind of a healing mode. And I never really thought of myself as a healer, maybe someone that moved things along, but never a healing energy. And I was telling my girlfriend about it one morning. We walk at the dog park every morning, and we do, you know, what girls do when they walk and talk. We walk and talk and share. And we got to kind of this part. We have a great dog park here. It's 150 acres. It's all through mountains and stuff. We got kind of to this elevated area, and I'm telling her this story. And I said, I might as well admit it. I'm a healer. And 2 seconds later, I tripped on a rock. And I did a complete face plant in the dirt. Oh, it hurt. I mean, like, I'm like a 4-year-old. I hurt my elbow and I scratched my knees. My pride was totally messed up. But it was like, heal that, healer. It's kind of a metaphor for me that when we make these really big declarations, right behind us is a rock that you're going to trip over. And it's a test. It's a learning lesson. Pick yourself up, Jan, off the dirt, brush yourself off, and keep walking. And there have been many of those similar, less painful examples maybe, but many of those along the way when you step into what makes you tick now, the real new you, then you're going to get challenged and you're going to have an opportunity to say, okay, yeah, I put a Band-Aid on my elbow and I had some acupuncture and keep on ticking. So that's what I know to be true. So where can I make a contribution? Who am I going to be seen as now? this was a big one for me. To be seen as the voice of sacred synchronicity, I'm like, what will my brother say? What's my daughter going to say about that? I better not say anything to them. I hope they're not on my email list. I did delete a couple of family members, I will say, off the email list. But, you know, it's just, I wasn't comfortable in my own skin yet. And it took some practice. It took some getting out there. It took some owning. It took some integration. And so that's what these kind of inquiries are about, is you dip your toe in, and then you start to see how it bubbles up. How does it manifest in your life? What do you have to learn? What do you have to give up? What do you have to release your attachment to? Big one. And these are all the experiences that I've been going through. So I'd love to hear from one or two of you if you've had a insight about what makes you tick today, or have a question or comment. So I open that up for you to share.
Do you want us to raise our hands or how?
We're just, it's casual. Go ahead, please.
Well, as you were speaking, I really made notes here, and my what makes you tick is personal transformation and, you know, consistent, ongoing personal growth. And I'm not sure you can get to that through, I call it the theoretical level, and that kind of refers to Carrie's quote. It's very theoretical, and I feel that so much in society. We really live on that level above the jaw, but we have to embody it. And I think that was the message the universe was giving to you when you face planted, was ground.
Yeah.
Ground. You need ground. You need grounding. And, you know, we all need to keep our feet on the floor. And it reminded me when I was 16, I was a foreign exchange student in Nicaragua, and we got to go climb up on Mount Mombacho. It's a volcano, a live volcano. And I was standing very close to the edge, and they were saying, move back. And I suddenly went, I can do anything. And I did not face plant or trip over a rock or fall into the volcano. I mean, I don't know where that came from, that inner, like it just screamed out of me. So it was pretty profound at 16. I was like, okay, now what's my next? I didn't even know what my next wish was, because I wanted to be a foreign exchange student all my life. So just a few thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to say something as well. This resonates a lot. I have this dilemma all the time between doing things from the force of my ego, or doing things being aligned with the divine and allow the divine to take action through me. And I noticed that I let the divine to take action through me, and then things start to happen, I start to flow. And then my ego says, you did that, you are so good. Let me take control now. And then I go back to the ego, and then I crash again. So I'm going back and forth. So just a few days ago, I went again through, I had it, I'm now going to seriously let myself in the hands of the divine through me. And through a series of coincidences or synchronicities, I end up talking with a prospect at a particular time. It's a very business-like person, someone who is even a little bit intimidating. And he told me about his connection with God. I just couldn't believe it. It was like a total sacred moment. My heart just went out of my chest. It was beautiful. And then he said, well, send me your prices because I want to work with you, which I was not even expecting. And then I realized that's how I want to do business.
Yeah.
This constant everyday, my to-do list. No, I want those moments of unexpected outcomes, inspiration out of the blue. So I love to, to learn more about what you had to say, because this is how I want to live.
That happened to me, that very first person that I shared about, who I gave her the option of the business coach or voice. At the end of her session with me, she says, I want more. And I didn't have my package, like the good marketing person would have. But, and I just said to her, I said, how many more sessions would you like? She said, 5. And I asked her, what would you like to pay for that? And I just said, you're my first, so you tell me. So she told me what she wanted to pay. And I'm like, like you, I hung up from that call going, I want more of that. I want that, and I want that to work the way it does. Nice.
So let's see where this is going to take us.
All right. Well, I do have a package. I will tell you. I do have a package, and I popped it in our chat here, that I want to continue working with you guys on this topic. And I put the Divine Alchemy package up there. It's something that I plan to start a weekly class. There'll be 3 classes, and I'm including 2 private sessions as part of this package, as well as a membership. I'm doing a once a month group. It's a meditation where we all come together and we focus on a particular topic. I do that to be included in my membership for a year. So there's that, the Divine Alchemy package. If you do want to learn more, we're going to use the classroom time. It'll be at this same time starting next Wednesday for the next 3 Wednesdays. And we're going to use this time to really hone what are the words around what makes me tick now. And then to how do I start to integrate that? And so you can use that private calls for, more integration or healing, or looking deeper into the topic for you, so that you can start to really embody, as Gina Maria said, this is about embodying what makes you tick. It's not a marketing statement. It's not going on a billboard. This is very beautiful divine work that will impact everything. It will impact your business. It will impact your health, your love, your spirituality, your money. And so that's what this is all about. And then I also popped up, I did an interview for a symposium with Gail and Gregory Hogue. And it's called the Divine Paradigm Symposium. And my talk happens to be today. It's being released over time. And today's mine is being released on the magic of sacred synchronicity. There's no cost to join, but I did put the link up there. If you haven't signed up for that, you can listen to that today, and really the replay. They're going to do another round of replays on Sunday, I believe. But what's really cool about this, in that I have been in such a learning mode about what is sacred synchronicity. Gail and Gregory were just masters. It's like they just pulled that wisdom out. So I can't wait to hear it myself. But I know that I felt genuinely inspired and uplifted from the interview. So I thought you might like it as well. So any more comments or questions before we round up for the end of our call today? Well, I always like to ask what was most valuable And so I'd love to wrap up our call if you would just share 1 or 2 words or 3 of what was most valuable for you out of being here today.
I don't know if I can do it in 3, but I'll do one really quick.
Okay.
Something first. And anybody else wants to just unmute themselves and go follow me. I love hearing from other people that were kind of, the like attracts like, and that we seem to go through these expansions together. And this idea of what makes us tick now, that it can be related to what made us tick 10 years ago, but that it is evolved, and to see how other people are evolving during this very unique time in human history is beautiful. And thank you for bringing all of us together.
Oh, awesome, Mark. Thanks.
Well, I want to say that I'm glad you're back. I know that you've never really been gone. I've used you forever, and your wisdom. But I'm glad that you're in this next phase. It's interesting. Just really quick, my what is it called? What makes us tick? Is delighting in the discovery and the growth of the next phase of my evolution and sharing it with others. And so as I heard you talk about contribution, it was like, that's really the piece for me, that if I keep it to myself, it's good and it feels good, but sharing it, any information I get is really incredibly valuable. So I'm excited that you're going down this road, because I can learn from you and share that with others. I appreciate
Awesome.
you.
Thank you, Beth. What
It's
else?
incredible, yeah, how that connects with me as well, because I'm keeping a lot of things to myself. Shut up now. Sorry, go ahead.
So for me, it was one, I've always had the sense of the tick could evolve over time, but it was more how it would change to get to that point of being quote set. So opening that up and just sort of reaffirming that I've been doing the both sides, where basically what makes me tick is being of service, and almost everything that I do is supporting the actions of serving other people. So good clarification and reminder. I'm in with that.
Thanks, Carrie.
Real quick, Jan, I just wanted to say thanks. I met you almost 20 years ago, and you've continuously over the years just kind of touched on me with emails and little messages. And for whatever reason, yesterday of all days, one of the emails that you sent out was like, you need to spend a few minutes today doing something different. And today you pulled out something, our little assignment, that I do need to evaluate the gifts, the talents and skills that I have, and figure out who I'm supposed to be seen as now. And then I don't know, call it rebranding or anything like that, but definitely it's time to evaluate those things, think about it, and maybe outwardly identify these things and take advantage of the fact that I'm aware. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen.
I would just like to say that this entire time has been a sacred synchronicity, and I would love to get together.
Awesome. Yes, we will.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that piece of contribution also talked to me, because I had learned so much in the last 2 years from the Course in Miracles, and I, talk about A Course in Miracles to a guy in the energy industry who was, could not have thought that could happen. So I think that contribution is about not keeping things for yourself and finally going out there, because now is absolutely urgent that we bring out the wisdom that we have.
That's it. Exactly. Well said.
I think Frida is getting ready to unmute. And while she does that, I just wanted to let Connie know, I reposted those 2 links that you shared because she came in right after you posted them. So
Okay,
Connie, if you have a look in the chat box, you can find them there, or Brenda and Betty might see them there as well.
okay,
Frida,
cool.
it's all you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that for me, the highlight started when I just got your invitation and started the process of being aware and exploring, you know, instead of just going, you know, to the next step of what I need to do next, what I need to do next in my busy life, and just going, oh yeah, yeah, what used to make me tick? Well, what might make me tick now? What really does make me tick today? I mean, just being in that question. And I've actually had a number of insights just today and during the call, and I look forward to sharing them more later.
Cool. All right. Well, for me, it was just a joy to be with you. Thank you for being my perfect master class, and for taking your time and bringing your energy to look at something that's so important to each of us, and to thank you, because I know as you look at it, your light will shine and make a difference for so many people around you. And that's what we're here for. We're the lighthouse people. We're the ones that do these kind of classes so that we let our light shine brighter, because that's who we are. We're committed to making a contribution, and we come here to get our light tuned up and brightened up, and so that we're shining as brightly as possible. So have a great rest of your day. Go out and enjoy and make a difference for more people. And I love you lots. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
I've unmuted everybody. It should be all unmuted. Wait, I tried it. It didn't work.
No, you can only mute everybody. You can't unmute them.
Right.
All you can do is ask them to unmute.
Thank you.
Anybody wants to unmute and say goodbye? That's great.
Bye.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
Jen.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Gracias.
Thanks, everybody.